Hey guys, Travis here from Just Freak Wrestling, the JFW Podcast. Letting you know that this episode is a very special episode. You're going to hear a interview that my co-host, Dally, did with one of SCW's rising stars, Adam Kage. They're going to talk about his history, everything from the beginnings of his career up until this point. And they're going to cover everything. She sat down with him, did the interview on her own, and she fucking crushed it. So this episode is going to be a little bit longer because this is a full base interview episode, and we wanted to make sure Dally got everything covered in Adam Kage's career. Before we dive into it, though, I just want to remind all of you that this episode of Just Freakin Wrestling is brought to you by CarterComics.com. Now, if you're a big comic book collector and you want to find a place where you can go to grow your collection or even start a collection, go to CarterComics.com. They cover everything from graded comics of 9.6, 9.7, 9.8, to even raw, ready to read, just loose comic books. Go to CarterComics.com and you can fill your cart up there at their website. Or if you're a big fan of the bidding on eBay, they have 4 different accounts that you can check out as well. And that's at the bottom of their homepage at CarterComics.com. Make sure you sign up for the Carter Comic Club. Fill up your cart. Use the code FreakNet or JFW in the shipping comments of your order, and I'll save you 10% on your entire purchase. Again, guys, CarterComics.com. Proud sponsor of Just Freakin Wrestling, and now we're going to dive in to the interview with Adam Kage.
It's time! It's time! It's JFW time!
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of JFW, the Just Freakin Wrestling Podcast. I'm Dally, and today I'm sitting down with my good longtime friend, Adam Kage. Thank you for sitting down with me and doing this podcast with me.
Man, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
We're going to get into almost basically everything, starting from the beginning of his career all the way to today. Okay. So it'll be a treat for the fans at home. Don't get to really see that side of you.
Well, you know me. I'm an open book, so I'll talk about anything. So.
Well, you know, I've been watching you wrestle for, 7-8 years now?
Oh,
something like that?
Yeah, it's been about 8.5 probably. Almost 9.
Yeah,
so,
we're getting old.
Yeah. I feel old, trust me.
So the time I saw you wrestle, it was in CSW. It was up in Chicago.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where did you first start training? Like, how did you start off in the business? Like, who would you reach out to? How old were you? All that.
Well, I'll start off by saying, as far as, becoming a fan, I mean, I've been a fan as long as I can remember, honestly. It's,
since, childhood?
Yeah, pretty much. My mom...
Or if you're like me, you were born into it.
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of different though, because nobody in my family was in the business. It was just, my mom was a really big fan of it. We had the
so old... you just saw it on TV and stuff and you just got hooked on it.
Yeah. I can't pinpoint the time where it's oh, hey, this was my first match that I watched. But, my mom used to have the old VHS tapes that she used to record the old Summer Slams and, all that stuff. But, so
good old days.
Yeah.
You had to record it on the VHS tapes. I remember that.
Yeah. So it's so that's pretty much my introduction into it. But as far as training and getting into it and stuff like that, I was 18 years old. I just graduated high school, and I just got my first job working on an assembly line, making the car seats for Ford and stuff like that. So, a couple weeks into that, I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I could probably maybe afford training depending on how much it is and stuff like that.
So you knew before you started that this is something wanted to do.
Oh, dude, I basically figured it out when I was 4 years old. That I can tell you. I was about 4 years old because I remember telling my mom that, hey, I want to be a wrestler type type thing. And she's like, you could be whatever you want, honey, type freaking thing. And she probably just blew it off.
It's
like,
just a phase, honey. It's just a phase.
Pretty much. She probably thinks like, he'll probably want to be like a garbage man in like 2 years, you know. But no, so I figured out, I was like, okay, I could probably like afford training and stuff like that. So I grew up in Windy City. So I was familiar with like guys from Windy City Pro Wrestling and stuff.
You went to some of the shows growing up?
Oh yeah. The old studio in Slag Valley and stuff. I was there. I was there front row. I was at Battle of the Belts, Hammond, Indiana. You know, I was there.
You know, we could have been in the same building at the same time. We didn't even know it.
Probably because one of those Southland shows, I was wearing my Battle of the Belts 2000 shirt. Remember that?
Mhm.
And I was there, and I think you said you were probably there too, but you're a couple years younger than me anyway. But no, anyway. So like I messaged Steve Boz, and I was like, hey, you know, I obviously introduced myself and basically told him like, hey, you know, I want to be a wrestler type deal and stuff. I was like, how much would you, you know, charge for me to train and stuff? And he goes, first he asked what my work schedule was because I was on nights at the time. So it was like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It was brutal. But, so I told him what my schedule was and stuff like that. And he's like, here, I will train you on the weekends. I think it was early Saturday morning, if I'm correct. It was early Saturday mornings, and I will charge you $20 a session. So I was like, freaking sweet. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'll do that. And, I remember the first day, that I showed up to, where he had his ring and stuff. I just got off work. I happened to get off work early that day. I think it was like 5:30 in the morning. And, I picked up my ex-girlfriend and stuff, and when we drove there, and I sat in the car, literally, I got there so early, it was ridiculous. Like, that's how amped up I was. I think I didn't have to be there.
I think everyone gets there a little early sometimes.
Yeah, like, I don't think I had to be there until like 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I think I know
when I trained, I like to go there just to like get all my stuff on and stretch and all that shit first.
Well, no, that wasn't my thing. Like, he wasn't even there yet.
You were just in the parking lot chilling.
I wasn't even in the parking lot. Like, I was like a block down because I didn't want to seem like that freaking crazy, you know, that crazy Mark guy that thinks he wants to be in the freaking business type thing, you know. But yeah, I don't think I had to be there until like 9 o'clock, and I was there at like 7:30. So I'm sitting in my 1990s. What was it? I think it was a 1996 Cutlass Oldsmobile. It was a very, very compact car for a guy my size because I'm not short.
Oh, and mind you, at this time he was a lot smaller too.
I was very small. Oh God, how much did I weigh then? I think I weighed like maybe 140 pounds at least. So yeah, I'm sitting in the freaking car with my ex-girlfriend, and she's like, did we have to show up this early? I was like, no, but I'm like, I'm nervous type thing. So finally 9 o'clock rolls around, and I meet Steve for the first time.
Did you live close to there?
No, I lived on the south side. So I lived on the south side of Chicago all my life. So basically where he had his ring was called the Worked Out Studio because he had like a little gym there and he was like a personal trainer type deal. So from my house to there, it was probably like, 45-minute drive if traffic was good, So yeah, so like days I didn't have to work and stuff, I definitely had to wake up early to get there because traffic, I mean, as you know, driving, because it was past downtown. So obviously traffic downtown Chicago is like very, very, iff-ish.
Yeah.
But, no, but anyway, so like, I met Steve for the first time. He was super cool and stuff. And, my first day of training, it was a little rough. I'm not gonna lie to you because obviously I didn't know anything about anything.
Were you in sports at all before this? Like, were you in any athletic activities?
Yeah. I played baseball. I played a little bit of football, basketball. I did a little bit of hockey, but baseball was like my shtick, I guess. I mean, I wasn't any good at it as far as like, hitting goes, but I was a damn good third baseman. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I had a little bit of sports background and stuff like that. And, you know, like I said, I was an athlete, but I didn't realize, you know, there's a difference between being in shape and being in in-ring shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that like real quick because, you know, running the ropes and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, you know, I think
something you have to get used to. Your body has to get used to.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of like eased me into running in the ropes and stuff like that because he kind of gave me like a heads up already, you know, because he was like, you know, it's a difference. I was like, okay, whatever, dude, you know. And then I started running him and I was like blown up within like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think the second day that I actually ran the ropes, I actually puked because he actually had me like run the ropes. Like I had the welt on my back, you know, and like it was rough. It was rough. And then the ring that I trained in too was the old Windy City ring. So it was like plywood. It was rough. Like learning to bump.
A bit used.
Yeah. I mean, like taking bumps in that freaking ring, man. It was like, I don't miss it, but at the same time, I'm glad I learned in that ring because it prepared me for, you know.
And then when you got a ring that was new and had more padding, it was like heaven.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm grateful for actually learning and like.
You were prepared for the worst, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like my first show, I'm thinking like it's gonna be like this freaking ring, and then I was like, oh, cool, you know. I mean, it's still stiff, and you know, it doesn't feel good by any means, but. You know, it was better than the ring I trained in, that's for sure.
So who, like, you said you got into wrestling when you were a child, watching on TV or whatever. Who were some of your, like, the main guys that stuck out to you? Like, who was, like, the guy you looked up to? Like, your idol, so to say?
Yeah, so it's funny because, you know, I'm 26 years old. So by the time, like, I remember, like, anything with, like, wrestling, it was, like, 98, 99.
Mm-hmm. So,
obviously, you know, Stone Cold was one. You know, I was a big Stone Cold fan, like everything. Like, basically when I was a kid, I wanted to be Stone Cold. Yeah, you know, like funny quick story about that. So we actually came back from a Windy City show that night, and I don't know what I did, but my mom was like super like mad at me for something, and I hid underneath the kitchen table, and my mom was like, you get out from under there and stuff, and I gave her the finger. And the only reason why I gave her the finger, because it was like, oh, okay, Stone Cold does it. And mind you, I was like 4 years old. You know, so that's a testament of how much I wanted to be Stone Cold. Other wrestlers, as far as that goes, Undertaker, Owen Hart was really big. I mean, even like later on, once I like started to like understand the business more and stuff like that, Owen Hart is like on the very, 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 very top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would probably say that those guys. Oh, and Bret Hart. Obviously, I can't forget Bret Hart. But obviously those guys right there, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. I mean, you could even throw Shawn Michaels in there. I mean, those are the guys, you know, that I honestly looked up to and like I watched and I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's hard to answer them questions sometimes because even though like we're in our mid-20s or whatever, being around wrestling your whole life, it's like you know all the history, you know what's happened in times that you didn't, you weren't even born yet. But like the only time that I really remember watching is probably like the Attitude Era.
Right, so that's another thing too. Like if I happen to run into people and stuff like that watched wrestling like pre-1995 when I was born, and I tell them basically stuff that they were like, man, I don't even remember that. Like, how do you know? How old are you? And then like I tell them how old I am. I'm like, and they're like, how do you know that stuff?
Yeah, there's always people that bring up guys, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. There's like someone from like the 80s or the early 90s, and I'm like, I don't know.
Like somebody like I'll talk to and mention like, okay, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage,
like the big names, obviously we know all the history behind that, but like anything little,
Right, and then that like I mentioned somebody like Rick Martel, and nobody knows who I'm talking about. I'm like, dude, you don't know who the model Rick Martel was? You know, Strike Force when he was with Tito Santana and stuff like that. Like people don't know that stuff, and then they're like, how do you know that stuff? Because that was like before you were born. I'm like, dude, and I hate using this term because it's been used so many freaking times, but I'm a student of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I wrestle, you know, that's honestly my freaking passion. So like, I know everything about wrestling before I was born, and obviously I know about wrestling after I was born, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, people kind of get caught off guard about like how much knowledge, like I know, and it's like, it's probably the same thing for like other guys my age, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you have to be in the business to understand, and you know, all that stuff. So,
yeah. A wrestling fan is a different breed, man, I tell you.
Oh, it is. I mean, that's obviously that's what I
some people just don't get it. They don't get it. They're like, you like what? Why?
Well, that's what I thought. And it's like wrestling's a different thing on its own. You know what I mean?
You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah, because when I first started dating my wife, and I was like, oh hey, I'm a professional wrestler. She's like, oh, like the TV stuff. I was like, yeah. And then, like, brought her to a show and stuff like that, and, like, she understood nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing about the business. I mean, she's obviously smartened up now, but yeah, being a wrestler is a different breed. And another thing, too, being a wrestler's wife is a different freaking breed in itself also. So, it's like,
yeah.
The wrestling business, whether you're in the business being a wrestler or somehow, like,
in the family or something, yeah.
It's a different breed. You're a part of it, and then
it's like your lifestyle. It really is.
It really, yeah, no, it is, and it's just like, that's what I'm saying. You can't. Once you're in, you're in. It's like there's no way out of it. Like even if you like hate it after a freaking while, it's just like okay, like I hate the business and stuff like that. It's like, oh hey, can you make it to the show on whatever date? And it's like, oh yeah, I'll be there. You know?
So I have a weird question.
Sure.
Who is Kid Twist?
Oh, man. Kid Twist from the streets of Southside Chicago, you know what I'm saying? So, Kid Twist, I can say a lot about Kid Twist. First and foremost, I mean, he's a young, naive kid. Expected everything to be handed to him at that point, you know? No, Kid Twist was my first persona, if you will.
How long did you go as Kid Twist for? Exactly, like a few years?
Basically, from when I started training, so basically 2013 till 2016, 2017, something like that.
It was that long?
Yeah, it was a bit of a run, you know. Yeah, man, it's like I still have my old tights. No, I mean, yeah, like I said, Kid Twist, I mean, that's basically who he was, like, a little punk kid from, Southside Chicago that...
Did you kind of take, like, was that kind of like your personality as a teenager, putting it into a gimmick at that point?
The way I grew up, living on the south side of Chicago, I mean, yeah, that was like a big part of that character because, like the white dude that, was from, the rough side of town, you know what I mean? He thought he was, hot shit, when he really wasn't, you know what I mean? Weighed the most 165 pounds, it was just, but yeah, at that time, that's who I was. You know what I'm saying? And that's the other thing too. Like at the beginning of when you asked that question, I was like, he was And
the fans that watch you today, as Adam Kage, the fans that watch you now in Southland and or anywhere, all online and everything, they know you as Adam Kage. They probably don't even realize that you had a different. You wrestled for as long as you have.
That was the other funny thing because I've been wrestling for 8.5 years and I had a conversation with somebody at one of the recent Southland shows and stuff, and it happened in passing, like I mentioned that hey, I wrestled here in 2014, and they were like, really, I don't remember you because and I'm like, yeah,
and you also looked a lot different.
Yeah, I was like I'm not who I am now, and I also weigh a lot more than what I did then. And they're like, really? Like, who were you then? Like, and stuff. If you weren't Adam Kage, I was like, I was Kid Twist. And then a light bulb went off, and I was like, oh, I remember you now. And like, yeah, you do look different. And then I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a completely different person character-wise, and it's also a completely different person personal-wise. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was Kid Twist, I expected everything to be handed to me, you know, and obviously it didn't work out that way.
When you were Kid Twist, you were in a couple of tag teams, weren't you?
I was in a few. I had a lot of tag partners, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to go back and think. I'm like, I know the main couple, but I'm like, I know he's had more. I just can't think of who they were.
Yeah. No. Some of them I don't even remember. Like the top ones I remember is Magic Mike Wendorf, Pretty Boy Preston, JW Lovely,
and you know, the up and down roller coaster with Mr. Bo, you know.
Dude, that's a whole.
Yes, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Yeah, that's a whole other interview in itself.
So you've worked with partners and you worked singles. Which one do you prefer? Like, does it depend, kind of?
Not really. I mean, because like, you know, either way, like whether I'm in a tag or in a singles match and stuff, I'm going to the ring to whoop somebody's ass. So, I mean, no, it doesn't really matter to me, honestly. It's just, yeah, I mean, there's not really a way to explain it, really. I mean, it's just, you know.
Out of all your partners, did you have, like, one that you really liked working with the most? Like, the one that you had that, like, connection with in the ring, you know?
I hate saying it now, because of, you know, what happened and stuff like that, but honestly, my favorite tag partner was Bo Anderson. It's
the chemistry, just, you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, me and Bo trained together. Stuff, you know, like, I know him as much as he doesn't want to freaking admit it. I know him and he knows me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, anytime we
you guys can read each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, anytime we tag together, I mean, we've tagged a few times. You know, it's like, anytime we tag together, like, I was there at the right spot. He was there at the right spot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, honestly, probably him. I would probably say he's probably my favorite partner. So I hate saying that now, you know, because, you know.
I mean, you did. I mean, it wasn't like you turned your back on him or anything. It was all him, so.
You know, the funny thing is, it's like, every time we tagged together and stuff like that, he always had like a salty end to it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it wasn't me. It was always him. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, he's probably the guy that was, you know, my go-to if I needed a tag partner.
I gotcha. So, you've been wrestling 8.5, 9 years, you said. Do you have, like, a specific moment up till now that you would say, like, is your most memorable moment in your career?
Oh, there's a couple. Obviously, your first match. Like, I remember everything about that day. Like, I remember.
Who was your first match again? Did you say? I'm sorry.
It depends. Because I was involved in a battle royal for like the first time I was actually like in a ring, and then like a couple of weeks later I was in a tag match. So it depends what what people want to know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't really say battle royal was your first match.
Okay, fine. Then we'll talk about the tag match. But I mean,
that's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, but even so, like, I remember everything about both days. So the day with the tag match, it's like, I remember it was so dumb. So I knew ahead of time that I was going to be wrestling and stuff like that. And Steve Boz comes up to me and he goes, because I'm Irish and Slovakian, like, I am pale.
Me too.
Yeah. Like, I am pale. Like, there's no tan bone in my body. So he comes up to me and he goes, you know, you're probably going to want to get a spray tan. And I was like, what, for what? And he's like, well, you know, a lot of these guys and stuff like that, you know, they're, you know, they have tans and stuff, and you might want to get a spray tan. I was like, okay, you know, so like that was that training one day. So then I go home and I, you know, tell my wife, well, my girlfriend, but she's not my wife. But I tell her, I was like, yeah, so I think I have to get a spray tan. And she literally busted out laughing.
Yeah.
And like, she's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what he told me to do." So I was, so she did all of it for me because obviously I have no idea how to freaking book a spray tan appointment, you know. So we get there and stuff, and I literally had to strip down to my underwear and have this nice little lady spray me down. You know, I literally looked like a freaking skinny Oompa Loompa. And the day of the show, I had it on my palms. So the day of the show, it was a really bad storm out that day. Like half the streets were like flooded and stuff. And I texted Steve and I was like, "Hey man, like I'm going to be late." And it was like, "How late are you going to be?" I was like, "I don't know. It depends how bad traffic is." So finally I get there and I wasn't like super late, but I was late, based on the time that I needed to be there. And I get there and I kind of have an idea what I'm doing, and then he's like, "Oh, hey, you're going to be in a handicap and it's going to be a squash match." I'm like, okay, you know, I was mad, like I was super pissed, you know, and finally stuff changed during the day because I think they realized like how pissed I was about it and stuff, and you know, we go out, me and Mike Wendorf, we both had the same first match. We go out there and we wrestled this team from Tony Scarpone's freaking training school, which that was the first and last time I've ever seen them. And Tony Scarpone, that's a whole different freaking story. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, screw that guy. But anyway, yeah, so we get in there and the guy gives me a freaking backbreaker and like basically damn near breaks my back.
Oh my god.
You know? Yeah, it was bad. It was
not the best first experience in the ring.
Oh, the match itself, like besides that, like the match itself was terrible. Like it was awful. And yeah, that was my first match. It was a stinker, and was
it just a couple minutes?
I don't remember how long it was. I mean, honestly, it was probably more or less like 5, 6, 7 minutes. But honestly, being in the ring and how bad it was going and stuff, like it felt like a half hour. Like it was terrible. It was that match was oof. I have that match on DVD, and like every time I happen to run across it and watch it, I'm just like, God, man, that's terrible.
You know,
and I was Kid Twist then too.
I don't think anyone's first match is gonna go perfect. So
no, I've seen people's first match go out good. I think it's honestly like the person you work with, but
yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. So I know you worked for multiple companies through the Midwest. Mm-hmm. In both singles and tag competition, is there any certain wrestler that you really liked working with? Like you had fun with them, you put out a great match, that you could work with them anytime, any day, whatever.
There's two people that I absolutely love working. First one is James Creed, for the simple fact that honestly, it was anytime I've wrestled him, I've had a great time. So I mean, there's that. That's kind of like now and stuff like that. And the second one, I guess, is kind of like now too. But another one is again Bo Anderson. You know, I mean, we kicked the shit out of each other in training, and we did it when we did shows and stuff. So I would probably say those two are probably my favorite.
I would love to see a Cage and Creed match in the coming future. I expect one in the next year.
Oh, me and Bo? Oh, yeah. It's going to be a knockout.
No, you and Creed. I want to see another match with you and Creed.
Oh, yeah. Well, there will be. I mean, he's champ right now. So, I mean, James, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're on my radar.
If it wasn't for that damn knee, man.
You know, that's another freaking thing, man. I mean, that's... Yeesh.
You know, and I think a lot of people were surprised to see you come back as fast as you did. I don't think they were expecting, what was it? We were at 4 or 5 months? Not even?
It happened in April. And I had my surgery in May. So what is that? June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months. So
didn't the doctor say like about around 9? 6 to 9?
What he told me was basically, he was like, if you want to do anything active again, because at that point I already told him, like, hey, you know, I wrestle and and stuff like that. And I, still play hockey every once in a while too. So it's like at that point, he knew I was physically active. So he was like, if you want to do any of that and stuff like that, if you stick to the personal, the physical training and stuff like that, you could potentially be back in 6 to 7 months. But since this is your first time tearing it, and this is your first surgery ever, it really was first surgery ever in my life. He was like, there's a good possibility that it'll probably be about more or less 9 to 10 months. So I was like, God, man, that's gonna freaking suck. So I just went to, personal physical training and stuff like that. And, I just stuck to what they did, and I did it at home. My wife helped me out a lot with that and stuff. And, finally, when it was time, the doctor was like, hey, your knee looks pretty good. You could probably, get into a little bit more physical activity and stuff. So, I mean, I got on the ice skates and stuff. I was skating around. I coached my son's hockey team. So I went out and, skated and felt pretty good. And, had another doctor's appointment, and I told him, I was like, hey, I've been ice skating a lot, and my knee feels freaking great. And he was like, okay, let's do a couple, tests and stuff. So he had me do squats and stuff like that. So basically stuff that you did at physical training, and he was like, yeah, you probably could wrestle again if you wanted to. And I was like, how soon? He was like, you could probably do it right now because you look pretty freaking good. I was like, okay, cool. And then that's when I was like, I'm back in, and the opportunity came.
Oh, well, that's good. And it probably helped that it was your first time having surgery on that knee. There wasn't any previous damage that had to go over or anything, so I'm sure that helped.
Well, I recovered from 3 different things, because when it tore and stuff, I not only tore my ACL, I also tore my meniscus. So the doctor, when they were setting up the surgery and stuff, they were going over what they needed to do. And he was like, okay, so, your ACL is completely torn. It's, bad. Well, yeah, it was bad, and your meniscus is on the wrong side of your knee. And that's why I couldn't put my leg straight. So he was like, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to move your meniscus back to where it needs to be and stuff. And as far as your ACL goes, we're going to need to reconstruct your ACL. So we're going to need to take your graft from your hamstring. So they took a graft from my hamstring to reconstruct the ACL. So I'm recovering from 3 things then. I'm recovering from ACL surgery, meniscus surgery, and the graft that was taken from my hamstring. So,
dang, yeah, that's a lot.
It was painful. The first couple days after surgery, I've never been in more pain in my life than that. It was bad. I couldn't walk for 2 months. It was bad. I gained a bunch of weight, so it was bad.
You're not the only one, buddy.
You know what though? I kind of did it to myself, honestly, because when I was sitting on the couch for 2 months and stuff, couldn't walk, I ate. I DoorDashed almost every day, and I drank beer. So I mean, I kind of did it to myself. But I'm down from where I was. I think when I first started working out and walking and stuff like that, I think I was almost 260, and I'm down to 240 now. So I want to lose more, obviously, but yeah.
Was there a point in time after when you were recovering that you were scared that you weren't going to be able to wrestle again?
After my surgery and when I first started going to physical therapy, because physical therapy and stuff was, I mean, it wasn't painful, but it was hard, because, I never went through anything like that before. I never went through a surgery where I needed that, you know what I'm saying? So it was first, when I was on the crutches and couldn't walk and stuff like that, obviously, the first thing that pops in your freaking head is I'm going to be on crutches forever. I'm never going to be the same, and then finally, once you're off the crutches and you're starting to gimp around and stuff like that because you're, taking your first steps in 2 months, then it's okay, I'm walking around, but I still don't think I'm going to be good enough to go, because obviously my leg wasn't that straight yet, which is kind of my fault because, I was a big baby as far as stretching it and stuff like that. But I ended up powering through it and stuff, and then finally, you know, I was able to walk and run and jump and do all that stuff, and then finally I was like, okay, maybe I can do it again. But yeah, there's always that doubt in the beginning, you know?
Yeah. So you can surprise yourself.
I definitely did.
Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here.
You're good.
So, is there one person, I know you just said that who you like working with the most and who you've tagged with and everything. Is there one person in the independent scene that you haven't worked with that you would love to work in the future?
Brian Pillman Jr. Hands down. I've seen him work, even before he went to AEW. I've seen him work and stuff like that. If I somehow run across a freaking opportunity to work Brian Pillman Jr., man, that'd be awesome. But yeah, that as far as independents go and stuff like that, yeah, that is honestly my number one dream match right now.
And what about like just all around dream match? Like if you could pick one person to get in that ring with, who would it be?
See, there's not just one person.
Yeah, you can't pick just one. You can't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's multiple people. I can name a few off the top of my head. Bret Hart, obviously. Like if I was where I was now in like 1994.
Yeah, so you would want them in their prime.
That's what I'm saying.
Not today, but like with them in their prime.
But that's what I'm saying. If I was my age in 1994, 100% Bret Hart. The other one would be Owen Hart, you know, I mean, obviously back then because Owen's no longer with us, but, you know, but yeah, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, I mean, it's still possible nowadays, but I mean, he's still retired, but if I can somehow work it out with getting in the ring with The Undertaker, that'd be awesome.
Who wouldn't?
Well, yeah, but as far as like the current roster goes and stuff like that, man, Roman Reigns is one. Darby Allin is one. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to mention, you know.
Yeah, and especially with having so many different companies around now, there's a bunch of different styles. And there's a bunch of styles, you know what I mean? And it's just like I often wonder. It's like I wonder how my style will clash with someone like, you know, Brian Pillman, the junior style. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like, it's stuff like that that gets me thinking. Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's like it could go either really good, mixing the different kinds, or it could go really good or really bad.
I mean, you wouldn't know unless you try. You know what I'm saying? And
especially when you throw in Lucha or something, it's like.
Hey man, I worked for Lucha Libre Total in Chicago for like a couple shows and stuff, and I did okay there.
Those guys are crazy. I'm like.
Well, I did okay there, and then I ended up moving to Missouri and stuff, and disappeared for a couple years. So.
Yeah. So when you moved, you didn't wrestle at all until you came back to.
I did. I mean, when I first moved, no, but after like a year and a half or whatever, that's when I started going to Harley Race's place, because even now I probably live about 15 minutes from, you know, Harley Race's place and stuff like that, and I was super fortunate to meet Harley Race before he passed. So yeah, I was training there for a little bit. And that's when I messaged, you know, the man himself, Hunter Payne, and I was like, hey man, if you need any, you know, extra guys, I'm your guy, you know. But yeah, I did a little bit of wrestling here. It wasn't like the whole freaking time, you know, I was living here and stuff.
Just here and there.
I probably took about a year and a half.
I'm sure it had to be kind of intimidating going into a locker room where you don't know anybody.
It was, you know, but at the same token though, it was just like, you know, I kind of felt like how I did when I first had my first match, because honestly, when I had my first match, I didn't know anybody except Mike Wendorf. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, other than that, and Steve Boz, obviously, of course. But yeah, I didn't know anybody then either, you know, so it's like you kind of got to jump in with, you know, obviously both feet and stuff like that and make the best of it.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So, pre-match or post-match, do you have, like, a ritual, so to say? Not really a ritual, but, like, something that, like, gets you, like, pumped to go out?
So, driving to wherever I'm wrestling to and stuff, I just blast a bunch of music.
Well, I know you got long drives, too.
Oh, yeah, I do. But no, driving to, the building and stuff like that, I just blast a whole bunch of music. It doesn't matter what kind, heavy metal, classic rock, rap, country. It doesn't matter. I'm usually
country.
Oh, I love it. Dude, I grew up on country music.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if I want to get pumped or something, heavy metal's the way to go, in my opinion. Like, I'm not saying.
Well,
I just don't know how you get pumped to country music.
I'm a weird guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, George.
We're all a little weird.
George Strait, favorite artist of all time. Doesn't matter what genre. George Strait is my favorite. But no, like I said, like, it doesn't matter what kind of music. Like, if I'm feeling it and stuff like that, I'm also a big bass guy. So it's like, if I'm listening to like the right frickin' hard rock song, it's, that's what gets me going. And then finally, when I get to the building and stuff like that, I stretch, I do whatever I can. And as far as post match goes, I just look for a bottle of water. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, yeah, I just look for a bottle of water and just sit there and,
Do you ever, I mean, I know it's probably the case for most wrestlers, but I know for a fact when I was training, I was my own worst critic. Like, I was nitpicky about, like, every little thing that I did wrong.
Oh, yeah, I was the same way.
Do you ever go back and look at your matches and think, oh, that didn't go the way I wanted it to? But then other people are like, it was fine. You did great.
All the time. And honestly, it's like, I hate watching my matches and stuff for the simple fact that I know that I'm going to nitpick in something and be, like, pissed off at myself. And it's like, I could have did that better. Like, there was, before I got hurt, there was, like, a drop kick I threw, and, like, I did not like it at all. And I was, like, super, like, pissed off at myself until, like, the next show where I had to do a drop kick just to prove that I can freaking, to myself, that I can do it better.
And that's another thing that a lot of people on the outside don't really understand is how hard training is and how, like, serious it is.
Well, that's another thing. That's another thing. Like, anybody that goes like, oh, wrestling's fake. This shit ain't fake. Because, you got...
I want you to take a bump on that mat, see how your back feels.
That's what I tell them, because, like, in that ring, like, there's probably about that much thick of freaking padding. Like, it ain't much. And, under that, you got freaking wooden boards, and the ring itself is freaking steel. So it's like, anybody that goes like, well, it's like a mattress. It's got a spring in it. I'm like, yeah, sure. You go ahead and take a bump in it.
Yeah, take a bump in it. Get body slammed, take an elbow, get chopped, anything. It's not.
That's what it's not that, but I'm just saying, as far as like, taking like a bump in a ring and stuff like that, it's like, okay, take a bump in a ring. And then after you take a bump in a ring, I want you to come up to me, look at me in the face, and tell me that, oh yeah, that was nothing. Because it is. And as far as like contact goes too, I mean, there's nothing in there that's, fake. It's real contact. Like, taking a chop from Hunter Payne, dude, it's one of the painful things in the business. I remember my first chop from him. It wasn't the greatest thing. My chest is still recovering, but still, just like nothing in there is fake. It's physical, and none of that stuff feels good.
It also you have to have very good memory. And footwork is a big, big thing. And that's what I struggled with in training was I could understand in my mind how to do it, but when I try to physically do it, it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like telling a story, I mean, everybody says that all the time, but it's true. It's like telling a story. I mean, you gotta know what you're doing and stuff like that. And, if you don't know what you're doing, then the story's gonna be absolute garbage. So it's like, you gotta know what you're doing in there. And like I said, that's why it's called professional wrestling, because everybody that's in the ring has been professionally trained.
No one can just walk in and just do it.
Yeah, it's not like any average Joe that'll walk out of the street like, hey, I want to be a wrestler. It's like, okay, get some tights and we'll throw you in there. They're not gonna know what to do.
Yeah, no. There's so much more to it than people even realize.
100%.
So, like, when you're going into a big match, or you're not even necessarily a big match, but you say you're going up against someone like Hunter Payne or someone along his size, like, are you kind of in your head? Like, how are you feeling, like, mentally? Like, do you feel pressure, or are you just kind of just, like, confident?
Anytime I see my name next to Hunter Payne's, I automatically shit my pants. But no, I mean, like, basically, I mean, you kind of want to treat every, like, opponent the same. You know, because...
I mean, obviously there kind of has to be some kind of, like, obviously if you're going to wrestle James Creed, your reaction is going to be a little different from wrestling Hunter Payne or Tiny for that match. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I mean, you gotta approach it differently and stuff like that, but also at the same time, you gotta have, the same mental, you gotta prepare mentally, you know, almost the same, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you want, you know, apples and oranges and stuff like that, I mean, yeah, James Creed and then Hunter Payne, obviously that's a different match. James Creed is a little bit shorter than me, not trying to, you know, crap on you, bud, but he's a little bit shorter than me. Hunter Payne's like 8 feet taller than me. So
I wouldn't go that far.
He's taller than me, you know, but
not 8 feet.
You know, you kinda gotta have a, you know, a different outlook on it, but at the same time you gotta prepare mentally the same way, because I mean, obviously it's gonna be a great match, it's gonna be a physical match, it's gonna be everything, you know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, but styles obviously are different, but it's still gonna be a big match, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of going back to the thing with Bulletproof. Mm-hmm. So, I know we were talking about an up and down roller coaster with about you guys, right? You were a team, you guys split, you were a team, and then the most recent split at Southland Championship Wrestling. So I wanted to get back into a little bit, like, how did this, like, when you came back to Southland, did you expect there to be Bulletproof LLC? Like, how did that become a thing? Like,
so when I came back, I think I came back in, what was it?
I felt so bad for you because when you came back to Southland, I felt like you went through like 4 different partners. No one was freaking staying around. You're just like, anybody?
Well, that's the thing. When did I come back? I think I came back in like 2017 or 2018. 2018 probably. That sounds more realistic. Yeah, I came back in 2018 and stuff. Yeah, they just threw me in there, random match. You know, I think it was against Sheik and Angus McDuff. I think they were doing like the Unholy Alliance thing. And, you know, they put me with Max Blaylock. I was like, okay, cool, you know. And,
I don't even remember that. I guess it was a thing too.
Well, I remember it because, I mean, that was another memorable moment because, you know, I came back, you know.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was just like a random match, you know, and,
yeah, I know you had Andy Black for a little bit. I know you teamed with the late Austin Fury for a little bit.
That just kind of got thrown together, honestly. Like, just me and him, you know, because you
guys looked the part, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That year I came back, like, I was Adam Kage. Like, I was, you know,
did you come back as Kid Twist at first, or were you just Adam Kage straight up?
No, I came back as Adam Kage. I came back as Adam Kage. I kind of grew away from the Kid Twist thing because it was like, okay, like where I was at in life at that point, it didn't register with what Kid Twist was, because when I was Kid Twist, I was a different person. Mm-hmm. Just like when I first became Adam Kage, I was also a different person when I first became Adam Kage as to where I am at now. But at the same time, I'm also the same guy. You know, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
You're the same, but you're not.
Yeah. So the thing with
attitude.
The thing with Andy Black, it was just like, okay, we're gonna do this, you know, Strays thing. And I was like, okay. Or Revolt thing, sorry. Strays was before that. I was still.
Yeah, that was another thing.
Sorry, got confused. But they were like, okay, we're gonna do the Revolt thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's do the freaking Revolt thing. Like, I was looking to make an impact. You know what I'm saying? Because when I came back as Adam Kage, nobody knew who I was. I mean, I looked different, you know, I was a different name, you know, they hadn't seen me in a few years. So I was like, I'm looking to make a freaking impact. And me and Andy, we went in there and we honestly tore shit up. Like, people are going to laugh at that, but you know what? laugh at it all you want, because we actually we tore it up, you know, because we had people talking. Like, we walked in there with frickin' jeans on that were ripped, you know what I'm saying? We walked in there with the frickin' bat. We walked in there with the bandanas. We whooped people's ass. I don't give a damn what people say. We whooped ass, you know, and, you know, the whatever happened with, you know, Andy Black.
There's actually one specific match that I remember when you teamed with Andy Black. I can't remember who his partner was, but I remember there was a match with Rough Crossing.
That's actually the show I got hurt when I wrestled.
I think that's why I might remember it so well.
That's another reason why I shit my pants when I say I'm wrestling Hunter Payne, because I got hurt wrestling Hunter Payne. Yeah, that was another thing. Like, he wrestled Rough Crossing. I ended up taking a tombstone, which didn't necessarily feel great. Yeah.
So your knee was already hurt at that point.
Not necessarily, because I, like, going into that show, I didn't really have knee problems. You know, I take that back. I kind of did have knee problems, but it wasn't to the effect of, oh, hey, my knee's hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would cramp every now and then, but it wasn't like anything. Like, I thought it was just because, oh, hey, I was sitting down too long. You know what I mean? But when I did the match with Hunter Payne, you know, he got.
So it was two separate matches. It wasn't a tag match.
Yeah. It was
okay.
Two matches. Andy went on to go face off Rough Crossing earlier in the night and stuff, and, you know, what happened there happened. And then it was time for me and Hunter Payne, and, you know, I go out there, everything's going good. He picks me up for a reverse atomic drop, and I did it, and everything felt good. And then he picked me up for another atomic drop, and then that's when my knee just went out. You know, and at that point, I didn't know necessarily what was going on, because at that point I was just trying to stand up, and I couldn't.
Just knew something was wrong immediately.
Yeah, like, at that point, like, I just couldn't. So after a while, I mean, it was probably more or less like 2 minutes, but it felt like, you know, 10. And after a while, I just stopped trying, and I was just like, whatever. And Andy helped me to the back and stuff, and, like, I couldn't put any pressure on it. You know, my wife came back there, and she wasn't necessarily happy about it and all that stuff. But going to the hotel that night was not necessarily fun, because when I try to sleep, I move a lot. So when you're trying to move a lot with a ghetto ass bag of ice that's taped with hockey tape to your knee, it doesn't work very well. So the next morning when I woke up and stuff, I hobbled out to the car and stuff like that, and surprisingly enough, I was able to drive, because it was my right knee, and it was just bad. It was just a bad situation. But going back to the Revolt thing, yeah, me and Andy tore shit up, and then, you know, Andy ended up getting in trouble and, you know, getting fired and stuff like that. And the opportunity came to work with Bulletproof LLc, because Bo
did Bo come to you personally, or was it like a Southland decision?
He contacted me, and he basically said, like, hey, you know, because again, like I said, he knows me and I know him, type deal. You know what I'm saying? Personally, you know, Bo, like, I've known him as long as I've known you, and Bo was in my wedding. You know, he was a groomsman in my wedding and stuff, and he was like, hey, we have a spot open in Bulletproof LLc. Come on in. You know, and I was like, okay, you know, because I was still looking to make that freaking impact. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was getting there with the Revolt and stuff, but the hammer dropped. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at that point, it's like, okay, I'm looking for the next opportunity to make an impact. And when I joined Bulletproof LLc, I honestly believe I made that.
For sure. I've always been a fan from the beginning. I've loved the whole thing you guys did, even having Keith in your corner. Like, I just found everything from start to finish was great.
When we walked out, I mean, some of them cheered us. You know, that's how
it was so good that it was almost hard not to cheer. You know what I mean? Like, how could you not?
That's what I'm saying. We made an impact. We made an impact. I made an impact. Obviously not just me, but Bo made an impact too. Like, we all did. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if people can come out and be like, okay, hey, yeah, Bulletproof LLc, they're bad guys and stuff like that, but God, they're making their mark, and we did.
I'm still upset to this day that I never got to see a tag title run with you guys. I wish I would have seen that. I think a lot of people would have wished to see that.
I'm a little disappointed in that too, but
But you know what? I guess everything happens for a reason.
That's what I'm saying. The way things end and stuff like that, it's probably a good thing that we didn't.
Exactly. Yeah. So now they have this thing with VJ Price now, and you guys have been kind of going back and forth at it. You guys wrestled last month. Mm-hmm. Didn't really go as well as I'm sure you had hoped.
Yeah, they kind of got away with a greasy one there. And part of that, and honestly, part of that's my fault. You know what I mean? I kind of got, the emotions kind of got the best of me on that one.
It just was, they have to cheat to win. That's just.
Well, yeah, that's one. That's just one of those things, because
I know people like to say a win is a win, but.
Yeah, because like I said, VJ Price is gonna cut these promos and stuff like that, basically saying, the Bulletproof LLc replaced, a dud with a diamond and all that stuff. It's just, here's the thing: if you can beat me straight up, okay, fine. I can buy into that. You know what I mean? But if you have the little skinny shit, Doug Keys, jump up on the apron to distract me, again, which is also my fault because I should probably know better than that. And I was getting ready to freaking clobber his ass. It's just.
Not to mention, I don't know where Bo was. Bo's probably out hiding somewhere.
Well, he found out I was back, and he's a chicken shit. He ain't gonna show up. But if he shows up at Christmas Bash, I'm like, hey, he knows where I'm at. He knows, where I'm at in the locker room. He knows that I'm gonna be out in the ring and stuff. So come on down, buddy. But as far as like VJ Price goes and stuff like that, if you're gonna cut these promos and basically build yourself up to be like something huge and stuff like that, beat me straight up first. And then when you beat me straight up, then I can buy into it. But until then, I'm not buying any of this shit.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is. If you are, you're kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get an opportunity to join a faction that's made its mark and stuff like that. You basically get it freaking handed to you when you haven't done a damn thing. Like
nothing.
I've only had one interaction with VJ Price prior to this, and it was a triple threat match between me, him, and James Creed. And I whooped his ass then. I whooped his ass then. And then he's gonna stand there and say, and act like he's done something. He hasn't done jack.
I personally think, maybe you should just stick to singles, man.
At this point, I'm all for that, if somebody wants
it gives you, everyone needs their time to shine, you know what I mean?
My thing is, it's just like, if somebody wants to come and be behind me and stuff like that, help me out and stuff like that, I'm all cool with that.
And certain people have a problem sharing the spotlight, so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's just like, it's not, my thing is, it's like, okay, I'm cool with you helping me out and stuff like that, but I'm also not going to be the freaking guy that goes like, hey, let's go to dinner together. Let's have a beer together. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that guy. If you want to help me out, cool. I appreciate that. But I'm not going to be your best friend either, because at this point, and I'm not trying to go.
You can't get too comfortable because you can't trust anybody in the business anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to go mainstream with it because it already been done and somebody's already said it and stuff. But don't trust anybody, And that's kind of like where I'm at right now because I let my guard down with Bulletproof LLc because I felt comfortable and I didn't think anything like that would happen. And sure enough, it did. And I'm at where I'm at now.
So we talked a little bit about the Genesis Championship in your future. So would you say that's like a main goal in your eyesight right now? Or do you have a bigger goal, something else you would like to accomplish?
Obviously I would love to be, heavyweight champion and stuff, but, you know, I got to take one thing at a time. You know what I mean? I can't just, you know, especially with me just coming back and stuff like that. I got unfinished business to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got to deal with Bulletproof LLc and stuff like that. And then after that, then maybe I'll start working into like the Genesis or the heavyweight title type thing. You know, but like I said, here's the other thing with James Creed. It's just like, you know, me and him had our, you know, differences and stuff, but he was there when Bulletproof LLc jumped me. You know what I'm saying? And if he's willing to put that aside and stuff like that, I could respect that. You know, because I wasn't necessarily the greatest guy around then. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can respect that, and you know, I can appreciate that. But the thing is, it's like he's holding something that I can potentially take from him. So obviously he's on my freaking list. Like, I get it, I respect you and stuff like that, you know, but you're on my list. Same thing with JPH. You know, I never really had a run in with JPH. You know what I'm saying? I can't really, you know, be, you know, bitter towards him because honestly, like, I never really had an interaction with him. But honestly, like, he's on my list because he has something that I want and he has something that I could possibly take. You know, so, I mean, I don't necessarily have set goals, but it's basically one step at a time. I'm dealing with something else right now, and then once I'm done dealing with that, then there's a possibility that I can go after a championship.
I would love to see that. And you know, I'm not even saying that like JPH or James Creed aren't worthy champions, because they are. They're both very great workers, they're great wrestlers, they're talented. But Creed still being so, like, new to the business still, was like 2-3 years in, like, I don't think he's even scratched the surface yet of...
Well, that's the scary part also, because, you know, if you're saying that, it's like, okay, he hasn't scratched the surface, which I completely agree with. Imagine what he can do when he does.
Yeah.
Oh, because, I mean, like I said, he's already champ. You know, he's already champ. Now, give it another year or two.
Well, you have a reason to be bitter about it, though, because it's like every time you seem to get a chance at something big, something bad goes your way. Either it's someone turns on you, you get injured, it's just like there's a bunch of shit going on, and you just kind of get thrown to the side, and then someone else gets the opportunities you should have gotten.
Well,
that's my opinion. I'm not saying anything. That's just my opinion.
No, I get it. And honestly, like, a lot of that is true, honestly, because, you know.
But you know what? The longer it takes, like, the more experience you get, the harder you work, the better you'll be, you know?
Here's the thing. We all know who's, you know, yeah, excuse me. We all know who's, you know.
Yeah, keep drinking that Bush.
It's Bush Light. I switched to Bush Light. It's not Bush anymore.
This podcast is not sponsored by Bush Light.
No, it's not. And you know what? Honestly, I have to restock the fridge and stuff. And you know, I switch off every month, so it's like I can go to the store tomorrow and then all of a sudden, like, oh hey, you know, Coors Light seems good right about now, and you know. But anyway,
I don't mind either one.
Right. But no, my thing is, it's just like, getting certain opportunities and stuff like that, I hate to freaking say it and stuff, but I don't kiss ass. You know what I mean? I'm not. Don't get me wrong. There's guys around and stuff like that right now that do not. You know, they deserve everything they got. You know,
mm-hmm.
but there's certain people that lick a lot of ass, that get opportunities that they don't necessarily need or deserve in that aspect. I've been back for how many years? Almost 3 years now. So the most opportunity I had was at the tag titles. Not that I'm shitting on the tag titles, but the last time I had a tag team title match was 2 years ago. So which means the last time I had a title.
Didn't you have a Genesis title match? Was it Sheik or something you had a match with? Or was it Jake? I don't remember who it was.
That was before the title match, the tag title match, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So even so, it's been 2 years. You know?
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, I got my shot, but ever since then, what have I gotten? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like I said, I'm happy where I'm at and stuff. I'm happy that I'm back. I'm happy that I'm doing, but obviously I want a piece of the cake too.
Obviously, and you know, you could everyone can see your dedication. I mean, you freaking drive from Missouri to go to an indie show every month. You know what I mean?
You know what? That's the other thing too. Like, I appreciate everybody that's, you know, messaged me like after my surgery and stuff, and you know, checking in on me, and then after, you know, my son was born last month and stuff like that. I appreciate everything like that. So it's like that type of stuff and that type of support keeps me going. You know what I mean? So I totally appreciate everybody's, you know, support and stuff like that. And that's one of the main reasons why I do what I do.
Yeah, for sure. It's just about your passion and your dedication. It's not even necessarily the outcome most of the time. Like, yeah, having the outcome and getting a little bit of a reward, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's all your love for it, you know?
Sure, yeah. Yep, I 100%, yep.
So we talked about, you know, the ups and downs of the indies and the locker room, like the training, the working and everything. So like, what would you say is the biggest challenge overall being a professional wrestler? Like, if you understand what I'm saying.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's, the pain and suffering and the blood, sweat, and tears that you endure and stuff like that. I mean, it's tough then, you know, because I mean, you go through a lot of pain, you know.
And there's a lot of people that quit after a few weeks, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm not."
Well, I know, but but if you do it for, you know, for example, as long as I have 8.5 years, or somebody that's done it for 15, or somebody that's done it for 30. You know, it takes a toll. It takes a toll on your body. You know what I mean? So it's like staying away from, like, you know, pain pills and stuff like that. That's also a challenge. You know, that's not something to be, you know, wanting to get into. You know what I mean? So it's like staying away from that type of stuff. I mean, that's a challenge. The road is a challenge. You know, travel's a challenge. You know, being recognized and stuff like that, as far as, and being married in the business and stuff like that too is a challenge, because I mean, you're gonna run into somebody that doesn't care. You know what I mean? And it's gonna, for me, it's not, because all I gotta say is like, hey, I'm married. You know what I mean? But for some people, the temptation is real, and I've seen it. You know what I mean? So that's also a tough challenge. You know, there's a lot, you know what I mean? It's tough to actually pinpoint what the toughest one is, you know, especially for me. But there's a lot of stuff that, you know, that's tough, you know.
Yeah, you're like probably the one of the most go with the flow guys I've ever met. So
you know what? The thing is, it's like I'm not always like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's days where I'm tired and don't want to deal with anybody. I mean, not to say that I'm an asshole or anything like that, but yeah, I think everybody has those days, you know. But during the revolt days and stuff, personally, I was in a dark spot. Personally, when I was in revolt, not because of like the business or anything, but personally, I was in a dark spot. So it's like, I'm glad where I'm at now. I'm a different person than what I was then, you know, and yeah, I mean, I'm me. You know, I go with it, you know.
yeah. So just stepping away from wrestling just for a second. What do you have any other things that you like to do? Any hobbies or anything outside of wrestling that you like to do?
No.
Drink, sit at the bar, watch hockey, baseball.
I enjoy a beer too every now and then. No, I coach my son's hockey team. That's pretty fun. I like doing that. You know, I obviously, yes, I'm a big hockey fan. Obviously, I mean, you can tell by the, you know, the stuff I have hanging up. I mean, we're inside my garage bar that I built and stuff, and like everything, like over there is like the championship banners. I got a Bears flag over here. I got a bunch of stuff. So I'm a big sports guy. So like I watch a lot of sports. I do play video games. I try to play video games, whenever I can and stuff. I mean, having kids and being married and stuff like that, it's kind of tough. But when I can, I do play video games. I also love music. Like I try to make my own music and stuff. And
weren't you in a band in the past? Just to bring that up for a second.
Yeah, I was. I was in a band. I was a singer. I was in a band for a couple years. That started, I think, junior year of high school. And I think that ended probably, I don't know. I was like I think I was probably about 19 when that stopped. Yeah, so like I said, I like a lot of things, I like hunting too, that's another thing I like doing. So, I got plenty of things to keep busy. And obviously above that, I love being, a dad, so, with my 3 little hoodlums. So, yeah, those are things that, I enjoy and I like doing and stuff. So everything is good here,
That's great. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for January. If you know, you know.
Oh yeah. What is it? I think that's January
28th or 29th? 28th? 27th. No, 28th.
No, it's a Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Saturday. It's the 28th, I think.
It is a Saturday. I think that's the 29th, though. I don't know.
I don't care. We're going to the Rumble, man. We're going to the Royal Rumble.
I gotta look at the calendar. I'm not
so excited.
I'm not good with dates. Oh, I'm excited too.
Like, I'm so excited.
I'm super excited.
I'm so excited. Royal Rumble is like the one pay-per-view I was on my bucket list. I'm like, I have to go to a Royal Rumble.
You just gotta bring your ass down and stuff. I mean, dude, the dome itself, I mean, that's freaking, huge. Like, I've been to the dome for concerts, and I've been to the dome for, like, monster truck things with my son and all that. It's huge, and it, like, every time I'm in there, I'm like, dude, like, this would be a great freaking stadium for, like, a big show, you know what I mean? So it's like,
I'm glad I have you down in Missouri. I have connections because nothing's coming up to Illinois. There ain't nothing big enough in Illinois to freaking run anything out of anymore.
I mean, if they run United Center, I mean, United Center's bigger than Rosemont.
Allstate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still call it Rosemont. See, I'm that old Chicago, guy.
It's the same thing, right?
It is the same thing, but the thing is, it's like, yeah, when did they switch names? They switched names at like 2000 something. But yeah, it used to be called Rosemont Horizon. And then, I still call, Guaranteed Rate Field. I still call it Comiskey because when they first opened it was Comiskey. So I still call it Comiskey. I still call it Sox Park. You know what I mean? So, I was just that old Chicago guy living in St. Louis.
I wonder how many people drive past your garage and think,
oh man, I've had a couple people walk past my garage and be like, hey man, you really from Chicago? I'm like, yeah, I'm not that, jagoff from Missouri that doesn't like any of the
bandwagon fan.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, no, I was born and raised in Chicago. I lived in Chicago until I was 19, so I was like, one guy actually did walk past here and he was a White Sox fan. And I was like, dude, come over and watch the White Sox one of these days. I mean, obviously you can't watch them now because it's wintertime, but yeah.
One word to describe Adam Kage. Or 2. I'll give you 2.
Okay. I was gonna say asshole. No. No. Right now, I would probably say hungry. I would probably say hungry because now that I'm back and stuff like that, I've been wrestling since I was 18, and I'm 26 now, and I haven't held the championship yet, so it's like at this point, like I'm more hungry than ever to actually like achieve that. I'm hungry to achieve the, exposure and the recognition for what I do in the ring, like I said, I mean, I'm more hungry than I've ever been. This goes back to even when I first started. I was passionate about, wrestling in the beginning and stuff like that, but I don't think I had that drive when I first started as I do now, because, I mean, we're balls deep in this now, you know what I mean? So it's like, people know me, they know who I am now, it's like, I want to accomplish stuff so that people that have invested in Adam Kage and stuff like that can be like, oh, hey, that I supported that guy from day one. I'm proud of that guy. You know what I mean? Because that's another thing. Once you're in it and you don't have too many supporters and stuff like that, when it comes to achieving your dreams and stuff like that, any support that you get, you appreciate, and you want to prove that, hey, them supporting me, they were right about me. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's just like
there's always something that people see in you that you don't see in yourself.
That's what I'm saying. It's like people. That's another thing too. It's like people want to. People see things like, hey man, you're awesome. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's just like, I don't view myself as awesome. You know what I'm saying? I view myself as a person that's trying to still make a name for himself and still trying to climb that freaking ladder. Whereas like it happened last month when I came back and stuff like that. Like somebody came up to me and they were like, I'm so glad that you're back. Like you're awesome. You're one of my favorites and stuff. And it's just like, in my head, it's like, obviously physically, I'm like, thank you. You know what I mean? But in my head, it's just like, why? Because I feel like I haven't gotten there yet. You know what I'm saying?
And I just say, I'm so proud of you because I've been watching you since you started. Yeah. And like when you came to Southland, the fans' reaction to your first day back to basically being crickets and then having the most recent return after your injury and have the roof blown off your bands. I was like, oh, yeah, that's crazy.
That's another thing. It's like walking out there as Kid Twist and stuff like that. Nobody really like, yeah, whatever. Is fucking.
Who's this kid?
And then coming back, last month and stuff like that, where I probably received the biggest ovation I've ever received ever. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's awesome. It honestly gave me goosebumps just now talking about it. Even watching it back, it was surreal, just to think like, hey, they know who you are, they want you here, and they care, whereas where it was like Kid Twist, it was like, okay, nobody knows who this guy is. Who cares? Okay. Oh, he lost. All right, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let me say real quick too, that's another thing that I am super appreciative towards Southland for, is giving me a chance to come back. You know what I mean? Because anywhere else that I went, didn't really want to give me the time of day, didn't really care. It was just like, okay, guy's just taking space up on the freaking card. He lost. Big deal. We're not going to freaking pay him. Nobody cares. Coming back to Southland and stuff like that, man, I mean, this last whole freaking run, like where it was by myself with Bulletproof LLc till now, it's been super fun. I'm enjoying myself. I, love coming to the shows. I love doing High Voltage, which you should check out on YouTube.
We're going to get to that in 1 second.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say something really quick. If you want to support Adam Kage, or you want to support JFW, you can go to tpublic.com, search JFW, or search, is it Adam Kage?
Yeah.
Adam Kage. You can get merch there, not just shirts, but for us, you can get basically anything if you search it. So go to TEEPUBLIC.com and search JFW, and also check out Adam Kage's gear.
Yeah. I mean, they're there. I mean, we have plenty of stock. And if you want,
I have a box in my trunk.
I was just about to say that I have a box, and I just remembered that
you left it. Yeah,
I did leave it. But you know what though? I had a freaking drive. You know?
You had other priorities. You had a baby, too.
And I also wanted to not be the freaking guy that was like, okay, I have to leave and freaking drive back to Missouri. I'm taking all my merch so you can't buy it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but yeah, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, go wherever, you can get my, shirts. I have 4 of them up, whichever one's your favorite and stuff.
Oh, is it Pro Wrestling Tees? I thought you were on TeePublic too. My bad.
No, I'm on Pro Wrestling Tees. I probably should get on TeePublic though.
So, my apologies. Don't search
Adam
Kage
you're good.
on TeePublic. Go to search Adam Kage on Pro Wrestling Tees. But I'm not sponsoring.
You're good. Honestly, you can even personal message me and stuff, and I honestly could send you a shirt, even.
And if you're ever interested in watching matches, Southland Post matches from all the time, every week, right?
We try. The power outage down here last week with that tornado and stuff like that kind of put a wrench in the plans, but yeah, normally it's every week. But yeah, Southland Championship Wrestling on the YouTube let me say that again. Southland Wrestling YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it. Go view the matches and stuff. This Friday we're putting out the High Voltage show. Yeah, if weather is good and if my schedule's not too crazy and stuff like that, we put out videos every week and stuff. But this Friday, definitely, no matter what, I don't care if it's, my house blew down.
I'm gonna go that far.
High Voltage will be on the YouTube channel on Friday.
So kind of getting into High Voltage now. I don't know. The last episode did not get released yet, right?
No, I'm honestly, I'm still working on it.
But pictures from the show have been posted. So I think a lot of people have kind of seen what happened at the end of the show with a certain company that I don't like to name, but kind of have to. POW.
You know what? You say POW, and I automatically think like, boom,
clap, woo.
Yeah, go on.
What the hell, man? What is going on? Like, I don't even know how this shit started. I just look on Facebook one day, I'm like...
Let me say this. 12 shots to the back with a freaking crutch. My back is killing me right now.
I'm sure it is.
And here's the thing. I'm gonna put this out there, and I know Travis, he's the, GM for, High Voltage and stuff like that, but I'm gonna put this out here right now. And I'm sure he'll let me do it because, he loves me. He loves James Creed, so he'll let us do it. Come back to High Voltage, POW, and catch us when we're ready. You know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, I'm not trying to.
Here's the thing. You roll 15 guys deep when
into a training center.
Into a training center with when.
Not even a quarter of the roster.
Yeah, not even a quarter of the roster. Like the remaining roster, if you exclude a couple of the guys, are rookies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you walk in looking like a bunch of schmucks. I think I told you, I was like, dude, they look like some random dude off the street that put a POW shirt on.
You invade an 8-year-old's birthday party. Here's the thing, man. If you want to make a statement, don't do it at a frickin' training center or at a birthday party. Come to the frickin' pay-per-view where we have guys.
I mean, we have a frickin' show coming out next weekend, so. Yeah.
When we have guys like Hunter Payne there, we have guys like, what's his name?
Sean Mulligan, Max Holiday.
Yeah, Sean Mulligan, Max Holiday, Ivan Manson. Come when we have all them there, okay? Because you know what? You're 15 guys against what? What was it? Our 6 guys? Yeah, that's a fair match, guys. That's a fair match.
I hope you're proud of yourself, guys.
With your
You've accomplished so much.
With your crutches, with your bat. Use your fists. Stop being a puss. And you know what? And you know what? Saying that.
You know they're not going to show up Saturday. They're going to have the balls to show up Saturday.
They probably won't. And if they do, guess what? We're ready for you. And if you try to sneak behind us and stuff, you're probably going to kick my ass for everything I freaking said. But guess what? I'll even say it afterwards. You guys are pussies. Fight with your fists. Fight when our roster's there. Don't beat up on the rookies.
I don't know what they were trying to prove. I really don't.
That's what I'm saying. You're trying to prove something. Prove it when the roster's there. We showed up.
You?
Hey, hold on a second. Let me make this real clear too. We showed up when you guys were there, your whole roster, and we whooped all your asses. And you can't even show up to our pay-per-view. That speaks volumes.
No, besides you, JPH, and Creed.
And Creed.
That was basically like everyone else.
That was the only 3 people that weren't rookies. Everybody else were rookies. And you know what? Hey, let me. Chris Ward was there too.
Yeah. Chris was there too. Chris, I wasn't actually there, but I saw the pictures. So.
Yeah, Chris St. Michael was there too. But here's the thing: they just wrestled a 20-minute match. Okay, and you know what? The first 2 people in that ring were me and James Creed after they got jumped. James Creed was first, but then I followed briskly after him. But still. And you guys had weapons too, man. That's what I'm saying. It's just,
So here's the thing. I don't know in detail what the whole thing with POW is. First of all, nobody tells me nothing anymore. But I know Southland does not do anything without having a good reason behind it. So I'm sure there's a great reason behind it. I know POW is the longest reigning company in the Midwest or whatever. Like, yeah. I don't know. But, like, it's just been a back and forth thing. It's kind of like a war going on now. And I'm just like, I'm trying to follow it, and I'm just like...
I don't understand it either, and from what I understand, they came at us. So, like, I don't necessarily know
we just threw the first shots.
Yeah, it's like, I don't necessarily know what their problem is, but, they have a problem, and we're willing to address it. That's from the whole roster. I'm pretty sure the whole roster would agree with me saying that we're willing to address it, but they need to show up to our pay-per-view first for us to address it, not a training center. You know what I mean? So, come at guys like Ivan Manson, Sean Mulligan, Max Holiday. Come at guys like that, and see what happens. Because I guarantee you it won't be the same outcome.
Yeah, it's just what blows my mind. Like, I don't like.
And like I said, they can come to High Voltage again. And you know what? We'll put them in matches. Bring it. We don't care. Do it. We're waiting for you.
We were prepared last month. They never showed. So.
No, they didn't. That's what I'm saying. If we invade your show with your roster there and we kick your roster's ass, and you don't have the balls to show up to our pay-per-view last month, but you show up to our training center, good job, guys. Sorry, my Band-Aid. Yeah.
No, you're all good. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this whole little feud thing goes. I mean, I wouldn't call it little. It's kind of big, but yeah. I'm excited to see. I mean, not only that, but it'll be new faces, new talent too. So.
Yeah, that's the upside. You know what I mean? I mean, we'll get new guys in there. We'll get new fresh faces and stuff. I mean, they're going to get their ass kicked, but I mean, still, it's still fresh faces, and I mean, it'd be good for the product. That's the one thing I actually take away from that is like we'll have new people.
Yeah. It'll be good in the long run, hopefully. I just hope it doesn't get too crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100%.
We don't need anyone else getting put out. We don't need anyone else. No more.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, we don't need that.
There's been so much drama and crap for the past couple of years, and especially before the COVID thing started, and it's just, can we just, wrestling is wrestling. Let's just enjoy it.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like I said. I mean, my thing is like I'm just like you said, like I'm like the most go with the flow guy that there is, and basically that's what I'm doing. Like I'm just going with the flow, and whatever happens. Like I'm prepared for it,
And just one more question for you before we. Oh, I didn't realize what time it was. I apologize.
No, man, you're good.
I mean, what advice would you give to someone who wants to be a pro wrestler, someone that had shared the same dream as you?
Ooh, man. Honestly,
don't quit.
don't quit and
I should preach what I should take my own advice.
Yeah, right? That conversation. No, but I'm saying, like, don't quit and don't expect things to be handed to you, because that was like the worst thing that I ever did, was expect things to be handed to me. Because
I'm not trying to interrupt you here, but like it just seems to be like most of the time the people that get the stuff handed to them, they don't really realize it, and they're not even nearly as good as they think they are.
Well, that's another thing too, like, that I'm grateful for, because nothing was handed to me. Like, I'm super.
You worked for what you got.
Yes, and like I said, I hate the fact that I went into the business expecting like handouts and stuff like that. Because honestly, like, my first year in the business, I thought I should have held the title then, and I was nowhere near ready for that. You know, so it's like, don't quit. Don't expect things to be handed to you. Work for what you get, because if you work hard and you train hard and stuff like that, stuff will start coming to you. You know what I mean? Like, for example, JPH. You know what I mean? He's world champion now. When I came in, he wasn't champion at all. You know what I mean? And I seen him work.
He fought his ass off for that.
That's what I'm saying. I've seen him work. I've seen him train and stuff. So it's, you know, he earns his spot. You know, I mean,
he's a natural talent, man.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing.
Just keep your nose. Keep
your brown noser.
Yeah, keep working, keep, you know, doing your thing and stuff like that, and keep working hard, because, again, like I said, once you work hard and stuff, everything that you want, you'll get, and that's it, basically. You know, just keep working.
I believe in you. Your time will come too.
I'm hoping,
it will.
man.
I know
like,
it will.
Like, the train is running, you know, and it's just, whew.
Now you haven't. You're 26. You're at your peak right now.
I'm 26 and I feel like I'm about 76. mainly because my back feels like hamburger after that POW incident. But other than that, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm hoping it comes soon. But again, you know, I'm taking one thing at a time. I got one thing in front of me right now. That's Bulletproof LLc, and I'm gonna deal with that.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you next week at Southland's Christmas Bash. Excited to see if Bulletproof shows up, Bo shows up, for that matter.
Hey, you know, if he shows up, I'll be happy to challenge him. if he's up for it. That's if he shows up, you know.
Yeah, if. It's a big if.
Well, because he's a chicken shit, you know. He's always been one. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if he does, he does. If he doesn't, then I'm not surprised.
I wouldn't be either. I don't think anybody would. But you know, Keith will be there, sticking his nose in places that don't belong.
Not wait till I get my damn hands on him. But you know, that's another.
He's lucky he's fast.
He's fast. I mean, did you see how fast he ran out of the building when I got my head shaved?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I've never seen anybody.
He was gone. Like
fast.
I'm like, he was fast.
Man, he ought to try out for a freaking football team. But you know,
running back. Well, we are running out of time, so I apologize about that. I didn't realize how long we were going, but you know, time flies when you're having fun, I guess. And
I had fun. I definitely had fun.
You guys listening, if you guys follow Southland at all, or any of the other independent companies around the area, if you have anyone you would like to have JFW interview, any ideas who you'd like to hear from, hear their story, and what they've gone through in the business, please reach out to us, message us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything like that. Please give us your feedback. We would love to hear from you. Follow us on all social media as well. We're on YouTube, Southland Championship Wrestling on YouTube, and also Just Freakin Wrestling. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for talking with me. And I even learned a few things about you that I didn't even know before, and I've known you for 9 years.
Hey, you know, you think you know a guy? No, I appreciate you guys having me on and stuff. Like, this was super fun, and hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, and it's good to have the fans kind of see a side of you that they don't really get to know their true story, you know? It's not like we're on WWE where they have documentaries released, you know?
Well, you never know. Southland might come out with some documentaries, too. I mean, they won't be as long, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, we might come out with something, so stay tuned with that. That might be a new project, but you know.
Yes, and make sure to keep an eye out for High Voltage being released on the YouTube channel as well for Southland.
Yes, that'll be this Friday. I think it'll probably be about 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, either one. I don't know. One
Alright,
of those.
so High Voltage
way,
Friday.
Yeah, it'll be Friday, most definitely. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on and stuff like that. I appreciate it. Again, hopefully we could do it soon. Like, this was
Yes,
awesome.
hopefully next time I talk to you in an interview, you'll be holding some gold.
Awesome. I mean, I got those if you want me to go grab one real quick.
I'm sure I can find some around here too.
Yeah.
But thank you again, Adam. We will see you on Saturday at Christmas Bash, and we'll see you on High Voltage and then at Christmas Bash as well. And we are excited to see what the new year brings for you and all of Southland. Thank you, and we will see you guys next time, alright?
See ya.